We're going to rebuild a Culligan HE kit. First thing you have to do is screw in the bypass all the way. Once you get the bypass in, you have to initiate a cycle, which is just simply check, manual mode, check, regen now, check, check. Go down to diagnostics, check. Go down to motor control, check. Go check to bring up next cycle, or go down to in cycle now, go check, and that'll put it back into the home position. Once it gets in the home position, go back to the main screen, unscrew your cover. There's a small screw holding the outdoor cover together. Don't drop it like I did. Then you can pull the outdoor cover part off, sliding it down, putting it back into place. Then there's four bolts you remove. Loosen the back one. And as you're doing this, the transmission will slowly start to pop out because of the tension of the piston kit. Once you get that off, you can then disconnect the meter. And set the cover and everything out of place, out of the way. The piston kits, you want to go straight out with them. There's a spring on each one that will be reused. You do not want to drop those springs inside the valve, so be very careful with them. Then you can turn on the water. Rinse off your springs, because those will be reused. And then remove your brine piston. A lot of times this seal here is cut. If that is cut, it will continually push water into the salt tank. Save that spring. Now, all your valve is clean, your pistons are out, so you just need to start putting the pistons back together. Which I start with the brine piston, silicone on, spring on. Then when you put it in, you want to make sure that that first O-ring does not get pinched and it moves freely. Next one, a little bit of silicone on. You want to make sure the spring can go on two ways. It can go on straight, it can go on crooked. You want to make sure it goes on straight. A little lube, start with the back piston, straight in, so it'll move. Now, the middle upper piston, a trick I've learned, is there's small tabs. You may or may not be able to see them on the, but you can just trim them off with your utility knife, and it saves that piston from jamming up. That's a trick Culligan doesn't believe in, but it works like clockwork. Trim them off so they're nice and smooth. Once again, silicone, spring, not crooked, straight, and push it straight in. Silicone, spring, straight in. Silicone, straight spring, straight in. Silicone each O-ring, spring straight, not crooked, straight in. You can rinse this spring off and get all the way clean. Still need two. This was a bad one. Silicone on, spring straight, and straight in. Next, you grab your transmission and cover. Go ahead and line up the bolt holes, holding the motor. Start with the very back screw because it has the least amount of tension on it. Tighten it about halfway down. Then just go to the next screw, which you may or may not have to push on the transmission. Tighten it halfway down. Go to the next bolt. This one you always have to pull a little bit on the transmission. Get it started. Then the last one, get it started. Once they're all started halfway, go back to the back. Tighten it all the way down. Mixed in line, all the way tight. Mixed in line, all the way tight. All the way tight. Go ahead and pull your cover up. Now, as you're pulling your cover up, your outdoor cover, pull the wires through so they don't get cramped in there. Put the motor seal on first. Just slide it in nice and tight. Sometimes your board will pop out. Make sure, get the bottom pin in. Top pin in. All right. Those are very tricky. Okay. Get your wires pulled back. Cover back on. Sometimes you gotta be careful with that board. It doesn't line up quite right. Cover on. Then you can go ahead, cycle your unit. Everything's been rebuilt.